For those who are new to this area, new to the podcast, new to our network, this is talknorth.com. This is the Cheryl Reeve Show. It's been a blast having Cheryl on. We do one live show a month at the Freehouse. Last time we packed the entire restaurant because of Cheryl, so it's been fantastic. If you listen to the podcast, please download. You can find all of our shows on the network at talknorth.com. Thanks to our sponsors, the Freehouse, North Loop, Minneapolis. Shelley Bean, the sports queen. We'll be telling you more about that later on. I know Cheryl's a big fan of Shelley and her books. And Lynx Dynasty Podcast, which is a nice compliment to this podcast if you're interested in the Lynx and the WNBA. Obviously, we're here because of WNBA All-Star Weekend. And I'm going to hand it off to you guys for a little bit to talk about the league, the media, the rise of the WNBA, the rise of the ratings, players. Just go. I mean, I'll chime in if I have anything to offer, but I want you to be this to be your show as much as possible.
Well, first I want to say a huge thank you for Holly taking time out. This is a great production that ESPN puts on that Holly's going to be a part of. And the things I've always admired about Holly is she has a unique ability of telling player stories, and I think it's so important. We dive into the statistics and how many shots people make, but Holly gives us a really good view of players. And so I would love to hear more about your preparation as you go into a game like this, things that you think is important to bring to light to the viewers.
Well, it's funny. So years ago at ESPN, our bosses get up and give us these spiels about different things. And one time they said something, and it has just never left me, of when you're watching a sporting event, you want fans to have a rooting interest. So like the hometown fans might have an interest for the team, but why are you interested and rooting for these people in these events and in these games? And I feel like the more personal you can be and tell the stories, the more of a rooting interest. Like you'll watch, like the World Cup was a great example for soccer. You didn't know anything about these teams. And then once you found out about Mbappe and what he was doing to donate his salary back to charity, then I'm rooting for that kid. So that's what I'm trying to do, is tell these great stories. I have an issue, like I've known all these kids since they were 18 years old. I've literally covered almost every single player in our league now since they were 18, except for some of the foreign players. So my database of the stories is almost too deep. So like, I haven't told this story for years, but I was like, maybe I should pull this out for All-Star.
Yes,
so Simone Augustus, her father, Seymour, was just like a really interesting guy and would always do some kind of eclectic things with her. She got those handles learning how to dribble on a gravel driveway because they didn't have the nice driveway, so she had to be better with the ball. But another interesting story about her is she learned her follow through by wearing a bowling glove. So the bowling gloves have kind of a stiff piece that goes down your wrist and your hand, and if you put on that bowling glove, it kind of keeps your hand in a natural basketball position for your follow through. So I remember one game, this was years ago, I haven't told this story for a long time. I had the bowling glove on and I'm trying to demonstrate the Simone Augustus follow through on those sweet mid-range jumpers. So I love that there's this database of stories, but one thing I challenged myself on this year was to do more. So I think I know the players, but like everyone's growing. So, like I reached out to Rebecca Brunson yesterday about her Sweet Gypsy waffle truck. It just got painted yesterday. I wish I could have gone and done a big segment on it. Or, trying to reach out to Lindsay and maybe go to a Gophers practice while I'm here. Or, like everybody changes and evolves. I remember one year we were doing a story about Sylvia giving Ollie his first bike and what she went through to get the bike for Ollie, your son. So like I have to challenge myself. It's not that the stories are static. They're changing and flowing just like people's lives.
And we have so many great stories to tell. And that's my favorite part about our league, is that there's so much more than what you see as a basketball player. And I just think you do an amazing job and you add so much to the coverage. So we so appreciate you there. One of the things I think about with you, Holly, is you're everywhere. You do every sport. So you're telling stories, whether it's college football, college basketball, you're at softball, obviously the WNBA. You probably could keep on going with the list of where you are. Like, you're never home, I don't think. And I know you have an apartment in New York to support your son and his college venture. It's pretty incredible the way you've committed to sports, but particularly women's sports. So you see the differences in the production of a men's event and a women's event. Talk about those differences and how maybe we can close that gap, and what What do you think is important? What do fans need to do to be able to maybe push this thing forward?
Well, first of all, watch is, I think, the thing that's helping us right now. So we have 2 big television trucks here today, which it's expensive. I mean, it's $100,000 or $200,000 every time you roll a TV truck into a stadium. So one is, if the ratings are up and advertisers will buy that airtime, we get resources. I mean, this is all tied together. And so we are always in a fight with our bosses, like, hey, we need more. People are watching. We've got to support this league. So, for example, one of the things I'm a little, I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying this or not, but I'm going to say it. So I don't feel like we have as many regular season games on this year. And I kind of feel like we're going too long between games and the league's never been more competitive. But that's because we're going to have every single playoff game on. And so we decided, like, are we investing full core in the regular season, or are we investing full core in the postseason, which that's a hard, philosophy of, like, where are we going to put our eggs? If we only have so many to spend, where are we putting them? So, I've kind of gone back and forth on that in my mind. I'm like, I just feel like I'm not working enough games this summer. I'm just like, I don't feel connected.
Yeah, and I think our fans would say that. They want to see more, but it's to your point, so fans, if you want to see more, it's about the financials of it, right? And so obviously buying season tickets to teams, but that only gets us so far. Now it's about, like you said, advertisers. That's where big money is, corporations getting behind it. And so, that's where I feel like we seem to hit a wall, in 2 areas. One, I don't know that the people that are selling the advertising are putting forth the effort that's necessary and going out and seeking partners for women's sports. Go ahead.
Well, it drives me crazy. Like, I absolutely get driven crazy. Like, if I had time to be a salesperson for my company, I would. Like, I've begged my softball boss for years, you let me sell the World Series. I can sell it because I'm passionate about it. Women are the biggest consumers. We spend more money and shop more than anyone. I don't understand why corporations don't get behind that and be like, let's go where the money is and support these women because they're buying products.
Well, I have a theory to that, Holly, and that theory is that there's an inherent bias when salespeople, when you look at like in the business world, the decision makers are largely white men, and even I think from a societal conditioning standpoint that it becomes about, what am I interested in? I've never watched women's sports, so I'm not interested. Oh, that won't sell. And so there's a tired narrative.
No, it's what are your so there's always a target demographic.
That's exactly
of who you're trying to get to buy your products. What is your target demographic watching? Yeah. That's what's important. And it is women's sports, and the numbers reflect it. Our WNBA ratings are up 38%. I mean, that's almost half a percentage point. Yep. It's incredible.
And that's without the commitment.
Yeah.
That's without the commitment. So I say we're growing at that rate without an investment,
right,
that's being made, like our own corporation, some of our frustrations is that, people are interested in selling sponsorship for the Lynx, but they're not committed to it.
They're not
so we've got
to,
we got to cross that line, and I'm with you, Holly. Say, let us in the room.
Let me do it.
Absolutely.
I will close these ding.
Absolutely.
Because we're passionate about it. We've seen it. And I constantly think, if you build it, they will come. What if one day some enlightened CEO said, I'm going to do exactly for women what I have done for men all these years?
Amen.
What if that just happened and it worked, and then your business model exploded? Because we're over 50% of the population. That's where we need to get better, but the women are creating a good product.
Absolutely.
I'll interject just really briefly.
Oh, Jim's here.
Not really.
We shut out the white man. You see how that feels, right? Sorry, that was a bad joke.
Really one of the
that
white
was a big joke.
That's not really a joke. It's actually true. I'm with you on that. The only thing I was going to say is starting my own network, kind of running my own business, having salespeople. The interesting thing has been that, there are other shows that are right now doing a little bit better than this show, but I've never had people just want to be a part of something as much as they want to be a part of this podcast because they're more passionate about it. So
I appreciate that.
I'm going to get back out of the way now.
Yeah.
No, but I agree with your point, is people have passion projects, and that's where you find the people. This CEO's daughter loves basketball. You get him, and you get that. And that's where we have to find these organic connections. But then the other part is, we've been talking about this a lot in our society, is if communities and cities with tax incentives or tax dollars got behind their women's teams and gave them the same tax breaks and funding that they've given men for 50 years, where would we be if communities, and that's going to take women in powers of position, political powers of position, to say, hey, we're going to invest in our women's teams just like we do the men's teams because they deserve it.
You sound like David Barry. Have you been reading David Barry articles?
I have not.
He does some tremendous stories on women's sports.
If you've retweeted it, then I have read it, because you retweet a lot of good stuff, and I read what you.
I read a lot of good stuff, and there's so many people. It's not all bad. We have a lot of people that are really starting to get it. David Barry's an economist out of Utah, and he writes for Forbes, and he writes exactly what you said: the subsidies and the ways that men's sports are helped, whether it's through $1 million stadiums, whatever the subsidies
$1 billion
are.
stadiums.
The taxpayers are paying for
Absolutely.
that. What if you gave a taxpayer a choice? Do you want to, with your tax dollars, support the women's team? And this is not a men bashing in any way.
Absolutely.
Like, we love our men's teams. We want to support sports and communities. That's healthy. But those of us who love and die and breathe these women's sports, just give us a shot. Like,
Absolutely.
Hello.
I've always said it's not either or. It's
right,
and. It's men and women. And I think when we get there, let's talk about the All-Star game.
Okay, sorry, I got off on a tangent.
This is what we do on this podcast.
Talk about
this is
that.
what we do.
Yeah. Okay, good.
What are you most excited about with the All-Star game?
Okay, well, I'm a nerd, and so I'm just like, everybody's here together, because at the end of the day, I am a fan of these players, and so I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's Diana Taurasi, or oh my gosh, there's Big Sil, Sweet Sil, I guess she wants now, but I'm just a dorky fan, like everyone that's out here waiting in line. I just happen to get a press pass, and I'm just like giddy.
So are you picking sides? Is that hard for you because you are a fan of?
No, I try not to pick
sides.
sides. No, because I really love everybody, but I'm on Team Parker. So my bosses gave us an assignment, and I didn't have a choice in it. So I'm Team Parker. I'll be covering their bench and everything.
Oh, that'll be fun.
It'll be really fun. So I've got Maya.
Awesome.
And secretly, like, if I was going to pick a dark horse, like, I never choose against Maya. So I think Maya will be the MVP.
Smart.
I will be shocked if she doesn't
Maya's
go
always
down.
enjoyed All-Star games.
And that it's in her hometown
That's
with
true.
her home fans
That's
and her
true.
team. So I believe I will have the MVP on my squad.
Well, I love it. I hope that happens.
Are you telling me Maya Moore might actually win something?
She's done a little bit of that.
Yeah.
In her
I'm
life.
excited. For us to have 4 All-Stars, it was something that was really, special. Our fans did an amazing job. Our social media team,
They did great.
in our organization, and then obviously the fans have to be the ones that execute the actual votes. And we had so many people that voted across all the platforms, and to have 3 All-Stars initially, and then unfortunately for Neko Gumake, best wishes to her, that she starts to feel better. But then Rebecca Brunson was the next vote getter to have a chance. That's fun for us.
It's cool. Okay, so I'm going to admit something, and maybe this will be wildly unpopular, but I voted for all 5 of your starters, so I get a media vote, and I wanted all 5 starters here. And the hard thing was, like, Way's statistics, Lindsay Whalen, aren't comparative to some of the other statistics for some of the other All-Stars, but I didn't care because I felt like it's in her hometown. It could be her last, so I wanted Lindsay Whalen as an All-Star. So
me too.
I'm bummed about that.
Yeah.
But that Rebecca Brunson got added late, that meant a
Yes.
lot to me. So I just feel like, I was like sentimental about it, I
Yes,
guess.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wanted to see that as well. So if I was coaching, I was going to relinquish coaching duties to Lindsay and let her
Oh my
let her
gosh, that
serve
would
as
be
That would
coach.
have been great.
But but I'm not.
I was a little annoyed with your team
You
because
were.
the best record, at a certain
Yeah.
date in the season, that coach got to
I
coach the
know.
team. And I'm like, come on, ladies.
I know.
Like, of all years for sure. Because you've been the coach. How many of the last 3 out of the last 4 years or something, you've been the all-star coach?
I was annoyed too.
Except for this year. I know, I was super
I was a
annoyed.
little annoyed. For
Except-
different reasons, but
for different reasons. But I will say I am very proud of them that you're up to number 3 in the standings. You're making some headway. It's been a different season for you, but
It has,
you're
yeah.
starting
Yeah.
to turn a corner maybe at the right time.
It changes by the day, those standings. So it was interesting because it's a different journey for us in that, look, we're a little bit older. It's just hard to do. This is our 8th year together, and of course the gap has closed along the way. And but we're still talented. We're still capable of winning the thing, as are a number of teams. That's what I think makes this league so fun to watch this year. That there's not this kind of foregone conclusion of 2 teams. And now I preferred it when it was a foregone conclusion with 2 teams, and we were one of those 2 teams. But that's not what it is. And so I think that the hardest thing for our team this year is they're very good about having perspective and where they are, and I try to have that perspective as well. They're better at it than I am, but we try not to compare this year's journey to past year's journeys, just like we haven't in any other season. And the other thing is, in any other season, we didn't standings watch. We didn't talk about this team doing this, or for us it was about the next game. And so it is really hard, I think, for our fans, to not hear every other day, well, you're in 7th. oh, you're in third this morning. I get a text from my mom. I woke up and you're in third. This is so exciting. I said, don't look, because tomorrow it could be different.
Yeah.
Because we played that night, and sure enough, we don't win, and we're seventh again. And so I think it's really important. We were 20-2 through 22 games last year. We weren't talking about standings. We were talking about getting better and focus on the next game. And we have to do that this season. Anything short of that, you're going to drive yourself nuts. And you're not going to be focused on what you need to be focused on. So we're going to try really hard outside of the break to tune out all of this.